Limiting beliefs. What are they and how do they impact you in your business, career, or as a leader? Hi, I'm Yvette Ratshikhopha. I help people heal and grow in their personal lives, business, and as leaders. And I also happen to be a business coach and strategist. So let's dive into it, right? So we have different limiting beliefs for every area of our lives. A lot of people have those. And I want to talk about specifically the ones that impact you in your business, as a leader, or in your career. The first thing to know about limiting beliefs is that they are the beliefs that we have that keep us from showing up in our reality in the way that we want. They are stories that we've been telling ourselves for a long time until we started to believe them and basically created a reality around them. You know, that self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you believe that you're not good enough, if you believe that you don't deserve to be in the room, if you believe that people will reject you, you kind of experience your reality based on that lens. And that's why we call them limiting beliefs, because they keep you from creating the life that you want. That's what limiting beliefs do. So the first type of limiting beliefs I want to step into is the ones in your business. And I'm also guilty of this, or I've experienced this and I had to work through it. I used to have the limiting belief that I am not good enough. So if you have the limiting belief that you're not good enough as a business owner, what it does is that, number one, it impacts your pricing. I used to undercharge because I thought I'm not good enough. So therefore, my business is not good enough. So I couldn't charge the rates that were my worth, because of course, if I perceive myself as less than, how am I going to charge my worth? The second thing is that it impacts the way that you navigate with your business, in the sense of you project your worth onto your business, right? So if you believe that you are not good enough, you're definitely going to project that onto your business. So that's number one, I am not good enough. The second limiting belief that can impact you in your business, there are many limiting beliefs, but I'm only covering a few, right? So that you can kind of get the awareness of what they are and how they impact you. So the other one is that a lot of entrepreneurs have, and I've seen this when I'm working with people in my personal or business coaching sessions, and they say that I do not have enough money to start. A lot of people believe this. They don't have enough money to start a business, but that is not always the case, right? Sometimes you have to build a business based on the resources that you have and build on that. If you wait to have all the money in the world or a lot of money, you might find yourself being stuck, and you might never even start, actually, because you already believe that you don't have the resources to create the life that you want or the business that you want. So it's important that you work through that limiting belief that you don't have enough money to start the business, and think, what do I have that can build this business, and what are the tools and resources that I can use to start? And then you can build from them. Then you can apply for funding once you have a concept and you have a physical product. But you don't always have to have a big bank account to start a business. I've been an entrepreneur for so long, and a lot of times I've built my businesses starting with what I have, the resources that I have, meaning my personality, my ability to negotiate, and my problem solving skills, and all of that. The second limiting belief that I want to talk about, or the second area, is in the sense of, as a leader, right? As a leader, you might have certain limiting beliefs like, I'm not experienced enough to lead, right? So this happens a lot for young people, and sometimes even for older people, because imposter syndrome can impact all of us, right? You'll find that a person believes that they don't have enough experience, but they've been in the space for so long. A limiting belief is literally just a story that you tell yourself, and it might not even be true, right? So you have to literally challenge it and say, is this true? What experience do I have? And how can I use the experience that I have in the space that I have? It's also important for you to celebrate yourself as a leader and to recognize your qualifications and to realize that you do have the expertise to be in the room. You don't have to be perfect. You can learn along the way. So the second limiting belief that can impact you as a leader is the thinking that, or believing that, you have to have all the answers. Many leaders think that they need to have all the answers in order to be a good leader, but that's not always the case. In fact, I think you have to have all the right questions. Being a good leader is more about having all the right questions than it is about having all the right answers. A lot of times when I'm working with the leaders that I coach, whether it be someone from a financial institution, whether it's someone in the academic space, they usually have to learn to ask all the right questions. So questions such as, right, what is your contribution to the problem? What are some of the solutions that you've tried that can help you with this problem? What haven't you tried that you need to try? What support do you need moving forward? And how can I hold you accountable? Many leaders are not equipped with these questions, but I promise you that if you apply these questions in any space that you're leading and work with your team, then it's going to create more trust, more collaboration, and easier problem solving. So So ask more questions as a leader. Leadership isn't always about telling people what to do or having all the answers. It's about asking all the important questions. The last area that I want to speak about is limiting beliefs in your career, right? A lot of us have these limiting beliefs that keep us from showing up in the spaces that we occupy. And you will find that you may just get a promotion in your job and you find yourself doubting yourself, which we often call imposter syndrome. That's probably because you believe that you do not belong. When you believe that you don't belong, you find yourself having self-doubt, you find yourself second guessing your qualifications, even though you're clearly equipped and belong in the room. So that's a limiting belief for you to work on. I belong in the room. That's something that you need to tell yourself. And it's also important to just recognize the amount of work that you've done to get into the room, to recognize the skill sets and the value that you have to offer in the room. So it's important to affirm yourself in that regard. So for this conversation, I want to leave it here. Right? I'm sure you're starting to notice some of the limiting beliefs that you have and are starting to understand it as a concept. And I think changing limiting beliefs meaning that you have to act, right? Hi, I'm Yvette Ratshikhopha, Master Neuro-Linguistics Programming Coach, Leadership Coach, Life Coach, and Business Coach. I've been doing this for almost a decade, helping people heal, create the lives that they want, and become the leaders that they want to become in their business or in the workspace. If you want to book my services as a facilitator for your business, for your corporate environment, or even for a personal coaching workshop, then you can contact me on the same details. My website is www.yvettealu.co.za. Looking forward to hearing from you. You can, of course, book a session with me and then we can work on it and change those limiting beliefs. And I'll use my neuro-linguistics programming skills to do that. However, if you're not in the space to do that, what you can do right now is to start to act, right? Act as if you already belong in the room. Act as if you are good enough, right? So charge those rates that you need to charge in that business. Act as if, right, you're good at the leadership thing in the sense that you feel confident. Act as if, right? Act as if you belong in the room. I think that's the concept that I'm going to leave with you today. But just remember that limiting beliefs are just stories that you've told yourself for a long time to a point where you started to believe them. And you can reprogram your mind by telling yourself a different story and then acting on that different story. That's the part that makes a huge difference. So I hope this really spoke to you today. Let me know in the comments if you have any limiting beliefs. What are they? What are you noticing has been the result of you feeling imposter syndrome, self-doubt, and all of that? And of course, share this podcast if it spoke to you and you think that it will help someone else. Once again, I'm Yvette Ratshikhopha. I help people heal and grow in their personal lives, business, and as leaders. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.